The bard at the heart of our tale is Alvar, a weathered yet captivating storyteller who has spent decades wandering the lands of medieval Europe. Hailing from the remote northern reaches of Britannia, Alvar's life has been a tapestry woven with the threads of legend and lore. With a mane of silver hair framing a wizened, kindly face, Alvar cuts an intriguing figure. His weathered hands, callous from years of plucking a worn lute, give testament to his lifelong devotion to the bardic arts. Clad in a patched traveling cloak and sturdy boots, he carries little more than the clothes on his back and a leather satchel brimming with parchments, the repository of countless tales gathered over a lifetime. What drives this enigmatic bard is a deep, almost spiritual compulsion to preserve the fading myths and legends of a rapidly changing world. As Christianity spreads and old pagan beliefs are suppressed, Alvar feels an urgency to document the fantastical stories that are slipping from living memory. His travels take him to remote villages, ancient monasteries, and noble courts, where he listens intently, weaving the tales he hears into a rich tapestry of medieval folklore. In one scene, we find Alvar seated around a crackling fireplace in a small, smoke-filled tavern. A group of grizzled mercenaries and weathered farmers lean in, captivated, as the bard regales them with a heart-pounding tale of a brave knight's encounter with a fearsome dragon. His voice rises and falls with the ebb and flow of the story, punctuated by dramatic pauses and the strumming of his lute. The patrons hang on his every word, utterly enthralled. Later, in the cloistered silence of an ancient abbey, Alvar sits cross-legged on the flagstone floor, engaged in deep conversation with a contemplative monk. The two men debate the nature of the Fey folk. Are they benevolent spirits or malicious tricksters? Alvar listens intently, taking meticulous notes, as the monk shares obscure textual references and oral traditions passed down through generations of clerics. Through these varied encounters, we see Alvar's narrative style shift, from the dramatic, embellished delivery in the tavern to the more measured, scholarly tone with the monk. His mastery of language and his ability to inhabit different personas allow him to seamlessly transition between the diverse range of legends he collects, transporting his audience to realms of wonder and enchantment. As Alvar the Bard traverses the medieval landscape, he uncovers a rich tapestry of legendary tales that reflect the diverse mythology of the era. Four such stories stand out as the central pillars of his narrative: the Dragon of Pendragon. This ancient legend hails from the rugged hills of Britannia, where the mighty fortress of Pendragon Castle once stood. According to local lore, a fearsome dragon made its lair within the castle's deepest caverns, terrorizing the surrounding villages for generations. The beast was said to have been summoned by a dark pact between the Lord of Pendragon and unholy powers, a bargain that eventually led to the castle's downfall. Variations of the tale depict the dragon as either a physical embodiment of greed and hubris, or a supernatural manifestation of the Lord's own inner darkness. The Lady of the Lake. Nestled deep within the ancient forests of Avalon lies a shimmering lake, home to a mysterious and enchanting fey figure known as the Lady of the Lake. Revered in Brittonic mythology, she is said to have gifted the legendary King Arthur with the sword Excalibur, and to have guided the hero on his quest. Regional renditions of this legend differ, with some painting the lady as a benevolent water spirit, while others portray her as a capricious and dangerous fairy queen who demands great sacrifice from mortals who trespass on her domain. The Headless Horseman. This chilling tale originates from the shadowy borderlands between Britannia and Hibernia, where restless spirits are said to roam. The legend tells of a fearsome knight, his head severed in battle, who now rides a spectral steed through the night, wielding his severed head as a weapon. Some versions connect this phantom horseman to the Wild Hunt, a procession of supernatural hunters that portends doom, while others link him to specific historic events, such as the Norman conquest of Ireland. The Wizard of the Mountain. Deep in the heart of the Carpathian Mountains, a lone tower stands, home to a mysterious and powerful mage. Feared and revered in equal measure, this wizened sorcerer is said to possess ancient arcane knowledge, the ability to commune with spirits, and even control the very forces of nature. Legends paint him as both a benevolent guardian and a dangerous trickster, capable of great feats of magic but also capricious in his dealings with mortals who seek his counsel. As Alvar weaves these diverse stories together, the bard reveals the interconnected threads that bind medieval mythology. The tales of dragons, fairies, spectral knights, and sorcerers all speak to a shared longing for the numinous, a desire to make sense of the unknown through the power of imagination. Yet the legends also reflect the cultural and geographic rifts of the era, with regional variations and contrasting symbolic meanings. Through his journey, Alvar masterfully guides his audience from the storm-swept cliffs of Britannia to the enigmatic forests of Avalon, and onward to the rugged Carpathian peaks, bringing to life the rich tapestry of medieval myth and legend. As Alvar the Bard journeys through the medieval realm, collecting the legends that captivate his imagination, he crosses paths with a diverse array of characters, each one offering a unique perspective on the mythic tales that permeate the age. Sir Gawain, the battle-hardened knight. Hailing from the court of King Arthur, Sir Gawain is a seasoned knight whose reputation for valor in battle is matched only by his skepticism towards the supernatural. When Alvar regales him with the tale of the Dragon of Pendragon, Gawain scoffs, recounting his own harrowing encounter with the beast. The dragon was real enough, the knight rumbles, but 'twas no more than a savage beast, driven mad by the greed of men. Gawain's pragmatic view challenges the bard's more mystical interpretation, pushing Alvar to delve deeper into the historical roots of the legend. Aisling, the fey-touched maiden. In the verdant glades of Avalon, Alvar happens upon a young woman named Aisling, her eyes shining with a fey luminescence. When the bard speaks of the Lady of the Lake, Aisling's expression shifts, a veil of melancholy descending over her delicate features. "The lady is no mere fairy story," she whispers, her voice tinged with reverence and fear. "I have seen her, felt the touch of her enchantments upon my soul." Aisling's intimate connection to the legend opens Alvar's eyes to the potent, almost divine power that the Fae are believed to wield in the minds of the common folk. Brother Anselm, the monastic historian. Within the hallowed walls of a remote monastery, Alvar encounters Brother Anselm, a learned cleric whose life's work has been the study of ancient texts and prophecies. When the bard inquires about the headless horseman, the monk's brow furrows in contemplation. "Ah, yes, the wild hunt," he murmurs, retrieving a weathered tome from the shelves. "This specter is no mere ghost, but a harbinger of a greater, more ancient chaos." Anselm's erudite analysis, peppered with biblical references and obscure historical allusions, challenges Alvar to re-evaluate the symbolic significance of the Headless Horseman legend. Lady Morgause, the sorceress of the Carpathians. High in the Carpathian peaks, Alvar comes face to face with the enigmatic figure of Lady Morgause, a noblewoman rumored to possess arcane powers. When the bard inquires about the Wizard of the Mountain, Morgause's eyes glint with a mixture of reverence and disdain. "That old fool," she scoffs. "He is but a shadow of his former self, a relic of a bygone age." Yet, as she speaks, Alvar senses an undercurrent of unease, a suggestion that Morgause's words betray a deeper respect, even fear, for the mountain sorcerer's abilities. Through these varied encounters, Alvar gains a richer, more nuanced understanding of the legends he has collected. The perspectives of the battle-hardened knight, the fey-touched maiden, the scholarly monk, and the disdainful noblewoman-turned-sorceress all contribute to the bard's growing appreciation for the complexity and cultural diversity that shape the medieval mythic landscape. As Alvar the bard journeys through the medieval landscape, he encounters a series of evocative locations, each one imbued with an aura of mystery and magic, integral to the legends he has collected. The Caverns of Pendragon. Descending into the shadowy depths beneath the crumbling ruins of Pendragon Castle, Alvar is struck by an oppressive, almost tangible sense of foreboding. The air is thick with the cloying scent of sulfur, and the flickering torchlight casts distorted shadows that seem to dance along the jagged, dripping walls. The bard's footsteps echo ominously, as if the very stones are aware of his presence, warning him to turn back. As he ventures deeper, he hears a distant rumbling growl that sends a chill down his spine, a testament to the primal terror that the Dragon of Pendragon has instilled in the local populace for generations. The shimmering waters of Avalon. Pushing through a verdant tangle of ancient oaks and fragrant wildflowers, Alvar emerges upon the banks of a tranquil, mirror-like lake. The waters shimmer with an unearthly luminescence, as if reflecting the glow of the full moon even on the cloudiest of days. Alvar finds himself drawn to the lake's edge, captivated by its serene beauty. Yet, as he peers into its depths, he senses a palpable shift in the air, a subtle current of power that seems to emanate from the very heart of this enchanted place. It is here, he knows, that the Lady of the Lake must surely dwell, her otherworldly presence a wellspring of both wonder and foreboding. The haunted forests of Hibernia. Crossing the ill-defined borders between Britannia and Hibernia, Alvar finds himself enveloped by the ominous gloom of an ancient, untamed forest. Twisted, gnarled trees blot out the sky, their branches reaching like grasping claws. The air is thick with the earthy scent of decay, punctuated by the eerie calls of unseen creatures. As the bard navigates the tangled undergrowth, he starts at every sudden movement, every snapping twig, for it is in these benighted woods that the Headless Horseman is said to ride. Alvar can almost feel the spectral presence of the Phantom Knight, just beyond the edge of his vision, watching, waiting. The towering spire of the Carpathians. High in the Carpathian Mountains, a solitary stone tower rises like a defiant shard against the pewter sky. Alvar approaches the structure with a mixture of reverence and trepidation, for this is the domain of the Wizard of the Mountain. The bard pauses at the base of the tower, studying the intricate runes and glyphs etched into the weathered granite. A sense of ancient power seems to emanate from the very stones, whispering of secrets and arcane knowledge that mere mortals can scarcely comprehend. As Alvar reaches for the heavy oak door, he catches a glimpse of movement high above, a shadowy figure observing his approach, eyes glinting with inscrutable intent. In each of these evocative locales, Alvar finds himself enveloped by the mystical ambience that permeates the medieval world. The bard's senses are heightened, attuned to the subtle currents of magic that flow through these storied places, hinting at the presence of the supernatural entities that inhabit the realm of legend and myth. As Alvar the bard traverses the medieval landscape, collecting and retelling the myths and legends that captivate his imagination, he bears witness to the fluid, ever-changing nature of these mythic tales. Each region he visits offers new perspectives, unexpected variations, and surprising revelations that challenge his understanding of the stories he has come to cherish. In the rugged hills of Britannia, Alvar first hears the tale of the Dragon of Pendragon, a beast said to have been summoned by the lord of the mighty castle. Yet, as the bard wanders the crumbling ruins and delves into the cavernous lair, he uncovers a more complex truth. The dragon, it seems, was not a supernatural entity at all, but a natural phenomenon, a massive, primordial creature that had made the caverns its home long before the castle's construction. The pact with dark powers was, in reality, a desperate attempt by the Pendragon Lord to harness the beast's power for his own gain, a hubris that ultimately led to the castle's downfall. Crossing the borders into the enchanted realm of Avalon, Alvar's understanding of the Lady of the Lake legend is forever transformed. In the verdant glades, he encounters the fate-touched maiden Aisling, who shares a deeply personal account of her own mystical encounter with the lady. Far from the benevolent water spirit of popular lore, Aisling describes the lady as a capricious and demanding fairy queen, one who demands great sacrifice from those who trespass upon her domain. The bard listens, enthralled, as Aisling recounts the tale of a brave knight who ventured too close to the shimmering lake, only to be ensnared by the lady's enchantments, his soul forever trapped in her realm. Delving into the shadowy borderlands between Britannia and Hibernia, Alvar discovers that the legend of the Headless Horseman is inextricably linked to the ancient Celtic tradition of the Wild Hunt. In a chance encounter with a weathered old huntsman, the bard learns that the spectral knight is not merely a harbinger of doom, but a member of a supernatural retinue that roams the night, hunting the souls of the wicked. The huntsman recounts tales of how the horseman will sometimes break away from the hunt, pursuing those who have earned the ire of the spectral horde, a chilling fate that fills Alvar with a newfound sense of dread. Finally, in the towering Carpathian peaks, Alvar's understanding of the Wizard of the Mountain is irrevocably altered. When he comes face to face with the enigmatic Lady Morgause, a noblewoman rumored to possess arcane abilities, the bard senses a deeper connection between the mountain sorcerer and the sorceress. Morgause's thinly veiled contempt for the wizard, coupled with her own display of uncanny powers, leads Alvar to suspect that the Wizard of the Mountain may have been a mentor, or even a rival, to this formidable woman, the two engaged in a timeless battle of wits and magic that transcends the boundaries of legend. As Alvar weaves these transformed narratives into his tapestry of medieval myth, he realizes that the stories he has collected are not static, but living, breathing entities, constantly evolving as they pass from one teller to the next. The bard's own journey has become interwoven with the legends, his understanding of them deepening with each new revelation, until the boundaries between myth and reality begin to blur. In a climactic moment, Alvar sees the connections that bind these disparate tales, the common threads of hubris, the supernatural, and the eternal struggle between the known and the unknowable that lie at the heart of the medieval mythic landscape. As Alvar the bard delves deeper into the rich tapestry of medieval mythology, he finds that the legends he has collected are inextricably woven into the cultural and historical fabric of the age. Certain pivotal events and the shifting tides of belief have left an indelible mark on the stories that have captivated his imagination. One such watershed moment was the Norman conquest of England in 1066. Alvar discovers that the legend of the Headless Horseman, which he had first encountered in the shadowy borderlands between Britannia and Hibernia, took on new resonance and symbolism in the wake of this cataclysmic event. The spectral knight, once a harbinger of doom, was now seen by the subjugated Anglo-Saxon populace as a representation of their resistance against the foreign invaders. Tales of the horsemen terrorizing Norman lords and their followers spread like wildfire, the legend taking on a newfound potency as a rallying cry for the vanquished. Similarly, Alvar traces the evolution of the Dragon of Pendragon legend to the turbulent period of the Anarchy, a civil war that rocked the Kingdom of England in the 12th century. As rival claimants to the throne fought for supremacy, the image of the dragon, a symbol of power, greed, and the hubris of the ruling class, became a potent metaphor. Alvar discovers that the tale of the Pendragon Lord's downfall was eagerly seized upon by peasants and minor nobles, who saw in it a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked ambition. In the enchanted realm of Avalon, Alvar's understanding of the Lady of the Lake legend is further enriched by his encounters with the common folk. He finds that the fey-touched maiden Aisling, who had shared her deeply personal experience of the lady's capricious power, was but one of many who revered the fairy queen as a living, breathing entity. For the rural peasantry, the lady was a force to be both feared and venerated, her whims dictating the fertility of the land and the prosperity of their meager harvests. Delving into the arcane knowledge of the monasteries, Alvar uncovers the complex interplay between pagan and Christian belief systems that shaped the legend of the Wizard of the Mountain. The learned brother Anselm reveals that the sorcerer, initially feared and reviled as a practitioner of dark magic, was gradually assimilated into the ecclesiastical hierarchy, his powers reinterpreted as a form of divine inspiration. Yet, as Alvar discovers, pockets of resistance remained, with certain conservative clerics viewing the wizard as an ungodly relic of a bygone age, a dangerous remnant of the old pagan order. Through these varied cultural and historical insights, Alvar comes to appreciate the rich tapestry of medieval mythology, where legends are not merely fanciful tales, but living embodiments of the hopes, fears, and power struggles that define the age. The bard sees how these stories were shaped by the shifting tides of conquest, belief, and social upheaval, reflecting the experiences of people from all walks of life, from the ruling elite to the humblest of peasants. As Alvar the bard traverses the medieval landscape, collecting and retelling the rich tapestry of myths and legends, his own perspective undergoes a profound transformation. The stories he encounters challenge his preconceptions, spark moments of doubt and discovery, and ultimately shape his understanding of the power and complexity of these timeless tales. At the outset of his journey, Alvar approaches the legends he collects with a sense of reverence and wonder, awed by the fantastical elements that populate the medieval mythic realm. When first hearing the tale of the Dragon of Pendragon, he is captivated by the notion of a malevolent, supernatural beast summoned by the hubris of man, a narrative that aligns with his own romanticized view of the mythic world. Yet, as the bard delves deeper into the origins of this legend, uncovering the historical truth of a primordial, natural creature, his perspective begins to shift. Alvar finds himself questioning the line between myth and reality, struggling to reconcile the visceral power of the dragon legend with a more prosaic explanation offered by the battle-hardened knight, Sir Gawain. This moment of doubt marks the beginning of a broader reckoning, as the bard realizes that the mythic realm he has so revered may be more complex and multifaceted than he had imagined. A similar epiphany occurs when Alvar encounters the fey-touched maiden, Aisling, and her intensely personal account of the Lady of the Lake. Whereas Alvar had envisioned the lady as a benevolent, almost maternal figure, Aisling's harrowing tale of the fairy queen's capricious and demanding nature shakes the bard's foundations. He is forced to confront the darker, more primal aspects of the Celtic mythic tradition, realizing that the Fey realm is not a realm of simple enchantment, but one fraught with danger and the threat of eternal entrapment. As Alvar delves further into the legends of heroic knights and sorceress powers, his understanding of the medieval mythic landscape continues to evolve. The bard finds himself wrestling with the question of what defines a hero. Is it the noble, chivalric knight, or the cunning, morally ambiguous figure like the Headless Horseman? Similarly, his encounters with the learned monk brother Anselm and the enigmatic Lady Morgause challenge his assumptions about the nature of magic, blurring the lines between the sacred and the profane. Through these moments of doubt, discovery, and epiphany, Alvar undergoes a personal transformation that mirrors the evolution of the legends themselves. The bard comes to appreciate the rich diversity and inherent complexity of medieval mythology, recognizing that these timeless tales are not mere fanciful distractions, but profound reflections of the human experience, our yearnings for heroism, our fears of the unknown, and our eternal struggle to make sense of the world around us. As Alvar's journey nears its conclusion, the bard finds himself imbued with a deeper, more nuanced understanding of the power and significance of the myths he has collected. No longer a passive vessel for their retelling, he has become an active participant in the ongoing narrative, his own story intertwined with the tapestry of legends that define the medieval mythic landscape. As Alvar the bard nears the end of his epic journey, weaving together the diverse tapestry of medieval myths and legends he has collected, he finds himself reflecting on the profound and lasting impact these stories will have on those who bear witness to his tales. In a bustling market square, Alvar gathers a captivated crowd, their faces alight with wonder and anticipation. He regales them with the tale of the Dragon of Pendragon, his voice rising and falling with the ebb and flow of the narrative. As he reaches the climactic moment of the Lord's hubris and the castle's downfall, a hush falls over the audience, their expressions shifting from rapt attention to pensive contemplation. Among the throng, Alvar spots a young apprentice stonemason, his eyes wide with a mixture of fear and fascination. The bard can see the boy mentally cataloging every vivid detail, already envisioning how he might incorporate the imagery of the dragon into the intricate carvings that will adorn the walls of a new cathedral. Nearby, a group of merchants exchange hushed whispers, their brows furrowed as they ponder the parallels between the Pendragon Lord's greed and their own ambitions. Even a contingent of weary soldiers, their armor bearing the crest of a local lord, lean in with bated breath, their hands unconsciously tightening around the hilts of their swords, as if the specter of the mythic beast might somehow materialize before them. As Alvar transitions to the tale of the Lady of the Lake, he catches the rapt attention of a small girl, her eyes shining with a mixture of terror and wonder. The bard can see the child's imagination alight, picturing the shimmering waters of Avalon and the mysterious, enchanting fairy queen who dwells within. Later, when he recounts the legend of the Headless Horseman, a hush falls over the crowd, broken only by the occasional nervous shuffling or the soft whimper of a child clinging to a parent's cloak. Finally, as Alvar weaves the story of the Wizard of the Mountain, he notices a pair of elderly scholars in the back of the gathering, their weathered faces etched with contemplation. The bard can almost see the gears turning in their minds, already formulating new theories and interpretations that will be debated and documented in the dusty tomes of monastery libraries for generations to come. In the aftermath of his performance, Alvar knows that the tales he has shared will endure long after he has departed. The myths and legends he has collected and transformed will take on new meanings, becoming vehicles for cultural expression, vessels of moral instruction, and sources of endless fascination and speculation. In a final moment of reflection, the bard gazes up at the stars, their timeless, unwavering light mirroring the eternal nature of the myths that have defined the medieval world. He knows that these stories will continue to evolve, echoing through the ages, their symbols and archetypes resurfacing in the literature, art, and imagination of generations yet to come. For the medieval myths are not mere fanciful tales, but living, breathing entities, constantly adapting to the changing needs and perspectives of those who seek to understand the mysteries of the human experience. With a deep sigh, Alvar turns and continues on his way, the weight of the parchments in his satchel a testament to the enduring power of the legends he has come to cherish. His own story has become inextricably woven into the tapestry of medieval myth, his legacy as a keeper of these tales assured.